All right, senior owned business family, how you guys doing today? Brittney and Matt are in the house talking about senior placement as always every Wednesday, the Wednesday live show. So apologize for us being 15 minutes late. We were meeting one of, she's part of a management group, investors. We were meeting as a team, and guys are always doing some sort of research and connecting with people in the industry and just staying true to who we are and how we can grow, and that's a big thing about this industry. I mean, we're going to get into it today, but we're going to get into the secrets a little bit, Brittney, and what surprised us most about this business. And I think it's going to be a good thing. But before we get into it, Brittney, I am doing a senior placement challenge next week. I mean, it's exactly a week from tomorrow. So in 8 days, I'm actually going to get a paying client in 12 hours over the course of 6 days, working 2 hours each day. And I'll show people how to do that. And the interesting thing about this, Brittney, is I'm going to be doing this mainly from my hotel room. And the reason I'm doing it that way is because if I drive anywhere, it's 30 minutes that way, 30 minutes back. And then time you sit there, I mean, my 2 hours in one day would just be like one contact. So there's a lot of different things you can do. I'm going to show you how to do the research at the beginning. I don't know anybody where I'm going, so it's not like my area that I've already got developed. I know people and I got a marketing director and all that stuff. It's just a new complete area. I don't know anybody in senior living. I don't know any executive directors, any social workers, and I've got to develop all of that in 12 hours. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be real and raw. You're going to see me probably get frustrated and everything else on camera as well, because I'll be making these contacts and all. So if you want to know more about that, you can click the link down below. If you know more about the Senior Placement Institute, what Brittney and I actually do to senior placement business in general, you can click the link down below and schedule a consultation call. But let's get into it, Brittney. I mean, senior placement secrets, they're not really secrets, but they are maybe some things that people might not expect in this industry. Because people, when they think about this industry, at least it's me, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think they just think about, okay, it's just a business card, which we had that comment a few weeks ago from somebody. I don't know what you're teaching, man. Just all it takes is a business card. Well, it's a lot more than just a business card. It's a lot more than just getting leads, a lot more than just going out and offering a coffee to a social worker and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to kind of get into that today. But Brittney, thank you so much for being here. Really love what you do. Let's get right into number one. What surprised you the most about senior placement business when you first started? Because when you first started, correct me if I'm wrong, you were like 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were 22 years old starting this business. And, I think you had a different, probably, I don't know if it's you or just kind of, feeling like you're young into business. When I started, I was 49. So this is what's going to happen, Brittney, when you get into the business long enough. You see the gray hairs that are in the beard? You're going to start getting gray hairs when you start this kind of thing. So, but what surprised you the most about the senior placement business when you first started?
I think the age for me was something. I didn't realize how much, for me, kind of the backlash I would get for my age. A lot of people, I got some I would say skepticism on what I was doing. I was super excited to help families, no matter if I was 15 or 70. I was just ready to help people. So I had a little bit of that. That was something that I wasn't anticipating, I guess, just naively. Didn't even think about it. I'm still the youngest in both of my markets by a good amount, I think, in the senior placement industry. So, or in senior living in general, it leans more towards probably your age matter. Midlife for the most part is what
midlife. You're killing me. You're
midlife.
Midlife.
I do think it leaned towards that a little bit. So that was one thing for me that was shocking. I think it was a really cool thing to overcome, though, as a person. And I think for me specifically, like being younger did give me some respect in the industry as things get along. But I didn't really, I guess, predict the proving myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How did you overcome that, though? I mean, it's probably more internal than anything else. Maybe subconscious within you, you're kind of thinking, okay, I'm too young, or people are perceiving me to be too young to do this business. Now, over time, you developed a great business. So, proof's in the pudding, right? I mean, you already are successful at what you do. So now they probably look at you completely different than they did back then. But when you're first starting, so if somebody's out there, they're in their 20s, and they're going to start this business, what are some of the things they can face, or at least perceive the things they would go through?
Yeah, I mean, I would think just, again, there's some initial backlash with maybe not feeling competent enough because of the reactions that you get from others. So the big thing is to just internalize that confidence in yourself and know that you're doing an amazing service for families. That's what kept me grounded through all of this, no matter how much backlash I got or questions, or, like those conversations where it's like, well, I have a master's degree, or I've been doing this for 25 years. And when I ran into some of those things, I just went back to my confidence and a learning, in this industry. The more you know, obviously, the more you're going to be respected in the industry. So that's one thing that I took under my belt, is to learn and always be open to learning and continuing my education. Like we were just talking about today, we're never not learning in this industry. Right. And I think that gains respect as well. Being able to have an educated conversation with people in this industry at any level is definitely going to gain you respect. And then you have less of that. I don't want to call it an ego thing. It's more just, they're skeptical of you. Age does play a part in anything in business. I saw this quote. It's like, sometimes I question myself, but I'm always the youngest one in the room. So I encourage you, if you're in your 20s, if you're wanting to look into doing something like this, don't let age be a reason you don't do it. I look at it as too, the younger you start, the more years you get to do this. So that's the neat thing.
Absolutely. And you're the youngest person in the room, and my team, which is you and Josh and Drew and few others, Brittney, you are Brittney, Crystal, my wife. And it's like, I'm the oldest person in the room. It's like, it's crazy, but man, it's about this business though, kind of get more specific about seniors and what you can expect. I mean, there's that emotional side of the game that really shocked me, at least surprised me a little bit, because, I'm not one that really will tear up or get emotional. I've been kind of labeled as maybe a cold-hearted individual. I mean, I'm not, but it's like what life presents and what you experience. I'm just kind of that person, just addresses that situation, figure out a solution for that problem and move on, versus kind of harping all through the emotions. But one thing that really has got me, as far as the emotional side, is when we are helping residents and we're seeing what they're going through, whether it be their inability to afford senior living, whether it be something physically they're going through, emotionally they're going through. Some of those things really kind of tugged on my heartstrings. And so, can you speak on that, Brittney, in terms of what people can expect when they get into this industry? Because this is not sales, right? It's more customer service oriented, but you're going to have to prepare yourself for some situations you're going to encounter, some residents you're going to see. Whether you walk in, I'll give you an example. You walk into a skilled nursing facility. You might encounter a resident with an open wound that will just kind of, rock your to the core. Like, oh my gosh, man, I can't imagine going through that kind of pain and all that. But what are some things people could do to prepare themselves for this emotional side?
Yeah, I would say you're definitely going to see those things. That's probably something that underestimated too, is just all of the clinical side of it, and hearing, families that have lost their spouses after being married for 67 years, really sad memory care moves that are just really tough, where they're just having a really tough time. And it kind of just makes you look at your life too. I know we've talked about this on this channel, but a way to prepare yourself is just, I always think, like, no judgment, and just be able to be there for families. So the part where you're empathetic, like, you have to be empathetic to do this job, or I don't think it'd be very fulfilling for you or the family. It would not be a good mesh there. So you have to be able to, like, be in their world and be there for them, and take the sales part out of it. Not always looking for the dollar, not always looking for the next move, the next lead. So you have to prepare yourself to not be so sales driven that you become cold or not able to relate, or just be there for them solely. So I think that's something that if you're not in the industry yet, or aren't familiar with the senior living industry, that it can be like a really big shock, or just hard to stomach. Like you said, open wounds, or you go into a skilled nursing and there's seniors that can no longer, they're not verbal. They can no longer have conversations, or they don't know their loved ones. That's a really hard thing to see, especially if you're not used to it. But, you get used to it over time, and it's something that you grow with it, but just preparing yourself that you have to take the sales part out of it and a lot of part of this job.
Absolutely. And get into the demand a little bit, right? And opportunities. I mean, if you are looking to get in something that is of high demand, I mean, the senior placement industry is huge. I've said this many times because some people talk about maybe, there's so many senior placement agents that are out there. And we've said before on this channel, it's like, okay, if you think that's the case, how many senior placement agents you actually know? Probably none or maybe one. And so it's not saturated. There's a lot more senior placement agents that we need to accommodate all the seniors, especially what's coming up in 2030, right? All the baby boomers be 65. I still think in my area, we could accommodate about 20 more senior placement agents. I know that wouldn't be a big thing. The senior placement agents in my area, they wouldn't be a big fan of that because that would cut part of their marketing share, right? But there's a lot of seniors that are moving in your area, wherever you are in the United States. And so if you want to be in a business that you can work out of your home and help people, and you don't mind going through the emotional side, you don't mind the demand and helping people, because Brittney, I think right now you're going through a lot of move-ins the first part of the month, and it's not a feast or famine, but it seems like my own business. I can only speak to what I go through, but it seems like I get jam-packed for 2 or 3 days, and then there's another 2 or 3 days following that nothing really happens, but I don't know. We joked about this before. It's like, I don't know if all these seniors get together and say, okay, we're going to move at the exact same time. I have no idea. I'd much rather have one per day and just kind of, on a slow, methodical pace, but it's usually not the case. It's usually 3 or 4 at one time. And then there's a little bit of a season during the month where there's nothing going on, and there's another 3 or 4 batch that would come in. But let's get to number 2. What does a day look like in the life of a senior placement agent? I mean, there's a lot of things that we do, right? And we've talked about on this channel as far as like having a routine and things like that, and that's super important. And I won't get into that today on this channel, but just in terms of the things that we do, how you receive leads and making calls and following up with people and how you structure your day. So Brittney, let's talk a little bit about, speak to the person maybe just started the senior placement business. I just got a text before we got on live here. Someone in LA wants to start a senior placement business. He's in insurance and wants to start. So for him, whether it be part-time or full-time, how do you manage your time, and what's the best advice we can give someone who's just starting out?
I would say just starting out, the first thing you're going to want to do is just be available, be seen, be present, starting to get your feet wet and learning more about your area, meaning the communities, residential care homes, assisted living, memory care, independent living, all of those things, getting to learn the industry if you don't have that background. Also, you're going to want to get yourself out there, and that way the community and people that know what you're doing. So you're going to want to do things like social media and just really be present. I heard a cool comment that said, don't be a silent agent. Don't be someone that doesn't tell people what you do. Don't be someone that can't be seen, make that very known. And then also building relationships with people that will be able to introduce you to seniors. So getting yourself out there, industry specific to people that encounter seniors every day, so you can be able to be connected with them. So really the main thing is just learning and getting yourself out there is the first 2 things you would need to do.
Absolutely. Number 3, what kind of person is the best fit for this business? So if they're thinking about getting involved with it, I think obviously the relationship, you got to be a person that's focused on relationships, right? Especially there's 3 ways to do the business now. And we talked about it ad nauseam on this channel. I mean, it's traditional, online, and now TSL technology. But when you first start, you're still going to have to make contact with people. You're going to still have to hobnob with people. And whether you take that to the nth degree of going to events, that's cool too. I only went to a couple at the very beginning of my business, but nevertheless, you still need to get out and reach out to people. And, but we want to be honest about this, because when you're reaching out to people and establishing that relationship, that's not always easy. I mean, it sounds easy, and some of it is easier to us, whatever area we like. For instance, I like cold calling, right? I don't do too much of it now. Crystal was out cold calling yesterday, and she's getting her tablet at another skilled nursing facility, and she got a hold of this one social worker she talked to for like 45 minutes. She's going to be getting us like 4 or 5 leads a month. And it's just unbelievable the amount of, you can get through that. But on the other hand, you're going to face rejection at some point, right? It's not sales. And most of the people in this industry are kind-hearted individuals, and doesn't mean they're not kind-hearted when they don't want your business, but you got to be prepared. You got to prepare yourself to be a little more resilient. You're going to get a lot of no's versus getting yeses. But if you can stay persistent and just understand that, hey, I want to do this business, and it's something within me that's willing to stick it out, man, you will get business. I just had a text yesterday from one of our students, got in senior home business not long ago, and now she just got her first lead. She was super excited. She's actually got a lot of contacts with some of the big corporate communities in her area that she's already got a referral agreement signed, because you hear that a lot. Like, okay, well, you can't get referral agreements signed with the large corporations that are out there. They just don't sign them. She's proven that all wrong. You can get them signed, but it's all about that connection. And she was willing to put herself out there and make the phone call, make the appointment, go to the appointment, perform well, do all that stuff to get to where she's at right now. So, but what kind of person, Brittney, you would see that would be successful in this business?
Empathetic, for sure. Like we talked about, the willingness to learn and combat rejection, being able to hear no's and still be there. Someone that's able to build relationships. An extrovert is probably a good quality to have, or someone that's open to having conversations and meeting people, shaking hands. I think also too, someone that is driven and motivated by helping people. Money is part of this industry too. So being money motivated will help you in this industry to keep going. But of course, someone that is motivated to helping people and wants to make a difference. Like we always talk about, you can have a website, you can have a business card, but if you're not doing the work to get the business going, you have a hobby and you're not getting paid. So I think that's important, I would say, from our students and people that I've talked to. The lack of motivation and drive seems to be a lot of the reason why senior placement agents don't succeed. So I think that's a huge quality that you need to have.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think some people just give up too soon.
Yeah.
We've seen it in our own senior home business. Someone gets involved with it and they expect, miracles. They expect to get that first move in the first month, which we've had people get a lot of move-ins the first month. We've had people get their first move in 3 months. We've had some stretch it out to 5 months. But if you got a long-term thought process, like, hey, I'm in it because I'm called to do this, or I want to do this, I feel something, that this is something I could do, and you're willing to stick it out. It's kind of like, I think I like real estate in a lot of ways. There's plenty of people hop in real estate, then they're going to be rich overnight, and they can't sell their first house in 6 months, but it's usually the people who stick with it for a long period of time. And so if you can think long-term, like Brittney, you got into senior home business in 2019, look where you are now. I started as an entrepreneur in 2018, walked away from a marketing position with assisted living community and no guarantees of what was going to happen. Just went out and made it happen. 3 move-ins the first month, and then the rest is history. So there's plenty of people who do that, but you got to be resilient, right? You've got to be a person that says, hey, I'm going to do this business because something I want to do. I'm going to stick it out, right? If you got because I get this sometimes, Brittney, I'll get a conversation where they're like, well, you think I can get my first move in by next week? And I'm like, you could, but the probability of that happening is 2%. I don't know. That might be high. It could very easily happen, but just being realistic with people, it's not necessarily going to happen right then and there. But if you think about this long term in terms of, man, what if it took you 6 months to get started, which that's not everybody in the senior home business, but let's say it did. Would it be worth getting involved with that you could actually establish a 6-figure business working out of your house? What's 6 months to get that going? That's not a whole lot, right? So let's get into what some of the misconceptions people have in this industry. I mean, some people think, in terms of sales, and if you do have a sales background, that really helps. You don't have to be a salesperson. I think a lot of the sales background in my own life has helped me in a lot of ways. But I also see a lot of people in our senior home business community that are successful. They're not necessarily salespeople. And so anyway, what are some of the misconceptions people have about this industry?
I think experience in senior living or in healthcare in general, having to be like an RN or just worked in a community. I can speak for myself. I was able to train somebody from the ground up with no senior living experience at all. Did have some sales background and that type of background, but I would say our students too are proof there. We have a lot of students that have no senior living background, but we're able to use their other assets, personality, empathy, patience, hustle, drive, and the ability to learn and really adapt and be able to be flexible and be a sponge has been like, that's their way to success. So I firmly don't believe you need to have senior living experience to do this job. That is all coachable.
Absolutely. If you get into the Senior Placement Institute, you guys, I'm telling you, Brittney and I are a little bit biased because we put it all together. We taught it. We co-taught some modules. We taught some of them separately, and we put it all together. And it's 42 modules, man. It's amazing. It's the most comprehensive senior placement course in the country. So that is the big thing, is your training, right? If you want to do anything in life, I don't care what it is, and you go to a school or an organization to train you, and they don't do a good job in training you, more than likely you're not going to be that successful, my own opinion. So with us, the Senior Placement Institute, again, we're a little biased because it's ours, but man, it's just, it's jam-packed with information, but information that when used is powerful. So if you're considering being a part of this industry, training is a big part of it. Don't get caught up in the hype of, all you need is a business card. Let me just go out there and try to get a lead, try to get a move in. If you're coming at this business from that angle, it's not even really a business. You're just kind of treating it like a like a gig, right? It's just something you're just doing one time, and you're hoping you can turn a trick. I mean, you might as well just go bet on sports or something, or go, try to put some money down and go double up in crypto or something like that. But if you are in this business, you really need to know what you're doing, because if you don't, Brittney, it's like these social workers, discharge planners, other people will see through that. I mean, when I first started in that assisted living community, I kind of related to that. I didn't know what I was doing. And I think a lot of people probably saw through that. I mean, I had a sales background and management background, but no senior living industry experience. And I was green as all get out. Now, everybody has to start somewhere, but if you're not properly trained, you're going to maybe send off some vibes that you don't want to send off. So you want to start this business off the right way. So it's not all about the money, but what we said before, and I think Brittney said earlier, I mean, if you don't have any cash flow, you don't have this, move-ins, things like that, you really don't have a business, you got a hobby, right? So, but Brittney, how do placement agents make a real impact in seniors' lives? I mean, this is the fun part. This is the part I like. I have to admit, early on in my business, it wasn't like it was more about the money, but it was because I was trying to make a living, right? Now I'm more or less trying to design a life, but I was trying to make a living, and I was like, okay, how do I get money, right? So I had to go out and hustle and grind, and I get all that. The joy of it, once you get your business established and you start some momentum, you start some, a funnel of leads and contacts and things like that, you're really going to make that shift. It's more about the senior than it is about money. I mean, I literally, and I don't go through this problem, but I could literally go through a month without doing anything and not getting any money from it, and I'm still in the business. Now, that doesn't happen, but that's my that's my mentality in that. But I mean, but going back to this question, Brittney, how do senior placement agents impact seniors' lives?
I think we really give them an option and a guide to pick the right care choice for them. A lot of it is, of course, we work with the seniors directly, but a lot of it's the families. I would say just as a whole, it really helps the whole family with ongoing support, with getting through this process. It is not an easy thing to go through, and most people don't plan for it. So you're getting a lot of families and seniors that are just being completely shocked by what it takes to place somebody in a senior living community, what their options are. And of course, making sure it's the right care. I think that's my favorite part about it. I fortunately have not had a lot of concerns or issues with families going to the wrong place, going through my services. I unfortunately had the opportunity to move people from other communities that they did not go through a placement agent to help them find. So I see the need there, and I see the difference between going through someone like us and going on their own. And just the feedback we get from families, it really shows what we do. And we do impact these seniors' lives sometimes at the hardest moments of their lives. And yeah, I just think we get a lot of emotional gain and just gratification for just doing what we do. So I'm convinced, I say this all the time, I don't know how people do it without us. And I genuinely mean that after the experiences that I've had. So we really do make a difference in their life and their entire families.
Absolutely. And the ongoing support, I love it. We're not talking about double dipping and just moving seniors, be moving them and, getting paid twice. It's just the ongoing support. If the family's got any questions, family, you know, um, has got some concerns about the community they're in or just whatever, you're there as an advocate for seniors and they can reach out to you. So I love that piece. I get that on occasion. And then I'll get people coming back to me because they've utilized our service and we helped out mom years ago. Now it's dad's turn, or they have some other distant family member, something like that. So word of mouth will begin to spread. Word of mouth doesn't happen right away, obviously. I mean, it takes time, but once you establish your brand, and that's really what you need to do outside of understanding the process, understanding that you have to have systems in place. You establish your brand because you are a solopreneur. Now, Brittney's more of an entrepreneur and I'm more of an entrepreneur because we got a team. But when we first started, it was more like being a solopreneur, man. I had to, and you did too, Brittney, wear all the hats, right? Whatever they are. And so, but yeah, that's really, it's the joy of helping seniors and it's the joy of helping families and being there. It's not really a counseling position, but you're going to hear a lot of stories. You're going to hear a lot of, what if mom did this? And, can she do that? And you're going to have to go through these different things. That's why you really got to understand and entirely what this business is about and be able to help somebody through the process. Because if you don't know some of the basic things, you can learn, but you don't want to be helping some family out at the beginning if you don't understand the basic things. Because it's not about just getting senior to said community. It's about what you said, Brittney, the right community, but what's that process look like in serving that family completely. So we just love and appreciate this industry so much, you guys. And if you want to be a part of it, you'd like to know more about it, again, you can click the link down below and schedule a consultation call with me. If you want to see me do this business live and get a paying client in 12 hours, I'm looking forward to it. I have to admit, Brittney, I am a little bit nervous because I'm putting myself on blast. I don't think anybody's ever done this before. I could be wrong. I just never heard anybody doing this kind of thing. And I'm going to have cameras on me, and we got a general admission. We got a VIP, and the VIP can see what's going on. Obviously, the general admission too, they'll get a recorded version in the evening, and the VIPs will be in this app, and you can talk to me during the day, and I'll be sharing a lot of different things to get your business going for a fraction of the cost. And now you won't get documents and things like that, in this challenge, but you will get a 12-step process, kind of a blueprint of what I'm doing. So if you want to be part of that, you can click the link down below. So, hey, until next time, God bless.